All right, so Nicole, do you want to get started here? And I will.
Well, sure. Let me say hello to everyone. Hi, everyone. So, as opposed to the last time we had a meeting, I don't have a very, very detailed agenda. Actually, I don't have an agenda at all. I thought I would leave this one wide open. And the only thing that I was going to suggest as a possible topic, which I think is probably timely, is the Black Lives Matter movement and how it, current events might be shaping our future programming ideas or thoughts. And that's the only idea I was going to throw out there. So I don't have a specific agenda. I'm just happy to see everyone, and I hope everyone's doing well, and looking forward to some thoughts that you might share with us. That's me.
Well, hello everybody. I'm John Ross. I'm the director of bands at Appalachian State, and we are planning right now to have a semester of chamber music, physically distanced. We have scenarios of a fully online protocol, a hybrid protocol, and a face-to-face protocol. And we're keeping everything open-ended until we get closer to the start of school to make a decision of what we're going to be doing. But if we are face-to-face, it'll definitely be in a chamber music scenario.
Awesome. Hey, John, I'm an alumni of Appalachian State.
You are? Cool.
Yes. From, I'm embarrassed to say, about 1980.
Okay. So you worked with Dr. Gora.
I did know Dr. Gora, and before him, Dr. Welker.
Wow.
And before him, Chuck Isley.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And my trumpet professors were both Joe Phelps and Elmer White.
Wow. Well, you were there in the golden age.
And I took theory with Chuck Jackson. Wait a minute, is that right? Is it Chuck? Not Chuck Jackson.
Jay Jackson?
He's the department chair now, I believe.
Oh, Jay Jackson taught you
Jay
theory?
Jackson, yes. We were in freshman theory together.
Do you want a refund?
Yeah. No, he didn't teach. We were in class together.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I've known Jay for many years.
Well, he's fantastic. He's one of the main reasons I went to Appalachian, and one of the biggest reasons that I'm still there.
Awesome. I'm going to have to come back up and visit sometime. I actually did come back some years later and did a recital with Dr. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Trumpet and organ recital, just for the heck of it.
That's great. Well, it's nice to meet you, Kathleen.
Nice to meet you, John. Lee, come on, get in here.
Appalachian State is hot, hot, hot. I remember that video, and I just put it in the chat. And if you haven't seen it, folks, it's one for the ages. So
I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to look for
that. Sorry, John. Didn't mean. I know that's the old marketing, not the current marketing.
I'm going to tell you the story. Are we recording? Okay. No.
Yes.
Okay. So the hot, hot, hot video was made. The dean of the Hayes School of Music at the time was Bill Harbinson, who was very good friends with the chancellor at the time, Ken Peacock. So Bill got a bunch of the faculty together, and Bill composed Hot, Hot, Hot as a gift to the chancellor. And it was just supposed to go to the chancellor, but somehow it got out, and then it went viral, and then history was made.
Oh shoot! All these names. I was in school the same time as Bill was.
Yeah, he was our dean for several years.
I know he was. We were all classmates. Yeah. This is so awesome. Well, any thoughts about programming? I do have a really boring video PowerPoint presentation I put together because I got roped into it, so I'm sorry. But I went through some of my processes for choosing repertoire and researching African-American composers of wind band music, and that's coming up this afternoon. And some years ago, Kurt and I put together a program we called Roots and Branches. You'll hear all this later today if you choose to attend that one. But we did an entire program based on the African diaspora, and I thought it was a great program. It was a lot of fun, and I think in view of things that are going on now, we definitely are going to do another program next year. We've already changed our programming idea for next year, should we get back together, and hopefully we will. So this year we had a big women's suffrage program planned, and that, I don't know what to do with that program now. We're just going to have to cycle some of that music back in over the next couple of years, because we made a lot of music purchases for that program, and I hate to see it go to waste, but it sort of seems untimely going forward to dedicate a program exclusively to that. So, and I guess I serve to be chastised for programming along those lines anyway, right? We should be doing that kind of programming. We should be integrating that kind of programming into all of our programs rather than focusing on one. So yes, I know I'm bad. I'm really bad.
Nicole, I don't think that's bad. Just from, like, we do a one specific educational program every year.
Yeah.
We focus on something like that. And it helps that we're partnered with a different organization that allows us to do that with the World War I Museum. So we do a World War I specific era concert every year, and so women's suffrage fits in with that, and that's helped us, just like, and we sell out 2 shows of those
Cool.
every year, and like last year we did Tolkien in World War I, and so tie it in educationally, and totally makes sense, but we have that one specific concert that is educational based, that there's a lot more talking in those, there's a lot more collaboration. It's kind of fun.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, like, of course, last year we did the Stonewall program, and I don't think I will ever get over that program. I loved it so much. And we had, we closed with I Am Who I Am, I Am What I Am, and we had drag queens singing, and we brought in an arrangement. It was just fantastic, and I think the audience was just like head over heels in love with it, the whole program, but especially the closing. So anyway, who else? Come on, Charles, what's up? In
Sure.
DC?
Hey, everybody. Here in DC, we've, of course, been trying to address a number of things, of course, with the protests and how we can support that constructively within a 501c3 means, as well as what we can do as an organization. Unfortunately for us, and we actually just announced this with our membership about 2-3 days ago, is actually we will be not having a symphonic band season. It'll actually be suspended due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that's actually going to be not only just fall, but it's actually going to be possibly within the spring as well. So when we're talking about programming, yeah, there's a lot of things that we're thinking about right now, but of course that's going to be definitely slated for the future. Of course, that also has our jazz ensembles on a bit of a hiatus at the moment as well. And the marching band, we took a little bit of a break, and we're actually redirecting our funds and energy behind our projects for videos, trying to increase the audio productivity of that. But it's been a bit challenging, here in DC. But we're putting our heads together to see what we can muster and see what we can do within a constructive sense right now. The only engagement that we actually have as a organization within the greater DC area right now is actually just our drum line, putting masks on and just playing cadences at, say, for instance, a Pride event, which will not be taking in September, which usually is in the second week of June for us. So it's been difficult. That's just more of the surface here in DC, but I'm sure everybody's got some stories going on, so I don't want to be the only one to talk about these particular matters. I'm more open ears.
Hey, you brought up an interesting point. It's been on my mind for some time now.
Yeah.
Striking or finding what is possible to do as a 501c3 that is of an activist nature.
Yeah.
I mean, supposedly we're restricted as a 501c3 from doing things like political rallies and being seen as endorsing that sort of, you know, a political position?
I would
Or
love to answer this because this has come up a number of times, especially for us in the nation's capital. And the way that we approach it is that we don't necessarily publicize or endorse particular candidates. But let's be honest here. And when it comes to our organizations and what we promote as a whole umbrella here is very political in itself. We're talking about LGBTQIA plus rights, freedoms, and celebration, you know. So, I mean, it's hard to not be political when we're based on kind of more of a political means, I guess you could say. But the way, again, how we do this in DC is that we try to support those ideas of inclusivity, diversity, and a sense of community through the message of music. But we don't necessarily bring in like little buttons to say elect this person or like we're certain other political things that are particularly aimed at certain candidates. So one of the things that's really nice here, and if you're interested, I'm more than happy to share it, is that we have a number of 501c3s here in the DC area. Capital Pride, HRC, in fact, actually the DC Center as well, that actually have different documents that more so kind of guideline what we can do as a 501c3 to support our cause, but not be political. It's a consistent conversation in the area. So,
anyone else have any experiences with this?
We did last year, we did a whole concert on civil rights. It was on women's rights, black rights, gay rights, and everything. And we ended up losing some donors because we had a speaker that got up and made some political statements, very pro-gay and against Trump. And we ended up losing a couple of donors and sponsors. It became very contentious. We had quite a few letters written, and we had to make a policy where that we would make sure that we would never make any that. And he was a guest speaker, and we didn't know for sure that he was going to say all the things he said, but it did upset quite a few of our audience. So we have made a policy to be very, very careful about getting involved in anything, anybody saying anything politically at all in any of our events.
You know, it's funny you said that. Bill Masonheimer, remember Bill Masonheimer? Anybody remember Bill Masonheimer?
Mm-hmm.
When we did our 40th anniversary concert, part of it was we had everybody who was a band member from the very beginning come and give their story about their experiences. And Bill got up on the podium and he started off talking about the political beginnings of GFBLA. And then he started talking about, you know, and so, he started talking about Mike Pence being here in town, being in LA or something for some kind of event. And then he was like, basically kind of went off about Mike Pence for a little bit. And then we got a bunch of negative feedback from the audience saying, I went to a band concert, not a political rally. And I was like, you know what I mean? I mean, it was a part of our history, so you kind of have to suck that up. But that was just, that was a very similar situation with that.
yeah, a rule of thumb that we've had an experience of DC's different drummers, and this is prior to my engagement in late 2017, is that we just don't talk about candidates. We try to astray from talking about individuals, and then try to more so go for an ideal or message that we're trying to support. So
Well,
at times can be challenging.
But isn't it true that a 501c3 is basically forbidden from, well, let's just say endorsing a candidate? And so that sort of implies that you shouldn't even be talking about candidates. Is that true?
Exactly.
Essentially.
I got to say,
Alex just put up a link to an article that I've read before that is also very super informative about what you can and cannot do as a 501c3. And, you know, I know that we often kind of, artistic director, I'm an artistic director in a couple different genres of life, let's just say. And there's a lot of talk about how the artistic director is, you know, you should focus on the art and, you know, in this case, the music and the interpretation. But in our reality of LGBA, we have to focus on the quote business side. And it gets a little tricky because we have to remember, where did these bands first start? LA and San Francisco, et cetera, before they even met up in Chicago and realized that they existed. Houston, they were marching behind gay candidates, you know, the Harvey Milk campaign, right, in San Francisco. So we do have an activist history.
Was that before they became 501c3s though?
It
Like,
was,
technically?
it was
That's what
absolutely, but it's still the history of, you know, the lesbian and gay band, the LGBTQIA band movement, so to speak.
It is.
Kind of thing. But I encourage all of you to go ahead and click on that. And well, don't do it now. The teacher in me is like, don't do it now. Copy that link for later. Don't get distracted. But it is very super informative. So thanks to Alex for throwing that up because I couldn't remember where it was.
Oh yeah, thanks.
You're
Thanks a
so
lot.
funny, Glenn. You're so funny.
So, but it has been bothering me the last couple of years actually that to try to find a way to become more active, more of an activist organization without crossing some sort of threshold that gets us in trouble.
Well, I think our power is that we do it with programming, right?
Yeah, but
that
you know,
can, without specifically, I mean, my concerts, Nicole, my concerts are pretty anti-Trump if you know how to read between the notes, right? And I don't actually have to say that they're anti-Trump. So, but go ahead. You've got
Ours,
someone.
I mean,
we
I
do
gotta say,
cause over cause instead of candidate. Cause
Yeah.
instead of candidate.
That's
That's
a
our
good
mode
way-
of
yeah,
operation.
Yeah.
We were taken to task in front of a grant panel once, actually. They're like, how can you be serving just by your very existence, you're being politically motivated. And we're like, we don't support any candidates. We do support equality causes. There's nothing that says that we can't do that. And that's the stuff that we should be fighting for as the band serves a musical and social mission.
Yeah, I wouldn't even put up with that kind of a thing because
Oh
the
yeah,
thing is,
I
we
shut
are-
it down, and then the chairperson on
Yeah.
the grant panel shut it down too. And he's like, "That's absolutely not germane to this." And yeah, so
Exactly, because the thing is, we are kind of like, and this is something I constantly say with our board and whatever, we are living, breathing embodiments of equality. We have gay, straight people, and the walks of life in our group. We are actually, if you think about it, we are kind of leaders in the world of equality. Am I right? We are already setting a standard, and we kind of need to emphasize that, I think.
so Justin, and this refers to Dean's comment earlier about losing some donors. I've always thought that we should be looking to build an audience that's inclusive as well, meaning if we're going to carry any kind of a message, it doesn't do much good to preach to the choir. And so it seems like you would want over time to build an audience that has allies as well as people who are just completely unfamiliar with your organization, but they hear you play good music, so they come to the concert, right?
That's typically what happens, yes.
And the first thing that you don't want to do in a performance is run that potential donor or run that potential audience member off because you're presenting a program that I don't know what the word is, but almost tramples them. You know, what are your thoughts?
Well,
that's what we were trying to do with our music. All the music and the whole programming it should have been about the concert music because we have a pretty diverse audience. What happened was our guest speaker is the one that took it off the rails, but we did not know he was going to do it.
Right.
And that's what surprised us. And luckily, with some letter writing and phone calls and stuff, we got most of the people who said they weren't going to donate anymore to come back to us. But it was one person that took it off the rails. Basically it was all about the programming and the composers and the music that we were doing that was all about equality. So it was kind of a shock and surprise that we didn't know what was happening, but it certainly did take a turn for the worse for a little while anyway.
Oh,
But
we've
if you
had
do-
that happen. We've had that happen too. We've had an MC go off script, and it got pretty ugly for a moment. I mean, jaw dropping. Oh, holy crap! Where's this person going here? And so, as a consequence, we've had to make sure that going forward, we coach every speaker that, this is your script, and do not stray.
I try not to do that. I try not to to bombard them with a specific message, I try and keep them to, okay, let's not mention this or whatever. But ultimately, they're going to kind of do what they want. And we've had MCs in the past before to go off on it. What about the way that you program? If you have this particular message and you're kind of worried about that and donors, what if the first half of the program has something like, this is what we do, and then before the break we do like a donation plea, right? And then during the break people will donate during the concert. What if on the second half we have kind of our political message? Well, they've already donated, so
That's ambushing.
well, the thing
No,
is, LGBT, the gay and lesbian, GFBLA, we used to sneak into straight parades as the Great American Yankee Freedom Band, and it had it on a banner, and everybody thought, oh, that's really wonderful, until the bass drum went by and it said the initials, gay, Great American Yankee. It had the gay on the bass drum, and everybody freaked out. We unfortunately had to ambush our way into this limelight.
Well, that's interesting. You should bring that up, Justin, because the Atlanta Freedom Band has, the marching band has started marching in the most conservative communities imaginable in Georgia. They get asked. I mean, towns are begging the band to come and march in the parade, which is fascinating. But I think part of that is because the band does a really good job of presenting a very polished and professional performance in the parades. It's they have nice looking uniforms. It's very well done, and as a consequence, they're getting invited to march in like Gainesville or Macon or.
Well, what is the lesson? What is the lesson we're learning here is that if you provide good music, which we all will do with our organizations, people will invite us regardless of our, orientations and stuff, because they want to hear good music. Am I right?
Right.
David just threw up something that says, or the community is tokenizing the band to appear that they're inclusive, which kind of goes back to what our friend Kylie was talking about in her keynote. My personal thing, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just an old fart act up activist or something, but I will take the damn tokenism if I have to, and then I will twist it and turn it into something that works for me, right? If tokenism gets my band into a parade, that doesn't happen, by the way, in New Mexico, because we're like the only blue spot here in the Southwest. But if tokenism gets my band into the parade, then I'll take it. And then I will be polished and professional, and we will be asked back based on how we are and how we perform, and just kind of like the goodness of our little hearts. I got off track, but the point is, I will grab that tokenism if I have to, and I won't turn something down if I think it's a token thing.
Right, and look at New York. Look at the Big Apple Corps band. They must do 30 or 40 parades a year. So, and they're obviously not all pride parades, and I agree with you, Gwen, because we don't know who's in that audience. We don't know who gets inspired as a consequence of that band marching by. So I think it's all good. Let's see.
Constructive. Charles just called it constructive advocacy. We need a better tagline than that, but I'm going to leave that up to Lee. He's more creative. So,
John, come on. I haven't heard from you today.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Things are going, pretty well in Cincinnati in general, but we have not gotten to the point where we're moving towards anything for next season, simply because of the fact that our membership is comprised of players from 3 different states: Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana. There's kind of like a little tri-state region down by Cincinnati. And so we have to wait for everyone, each governmental agency to make their decision on where they are in their rollout. But as of right now, it's not looking great for us to have a fall season. Instead, we've just been doing a lot of Zoom check-ins and so on. We had a Zoom pride party and stuff like that for our group to keep everybody connected, and just trying to figure out where our next stage is. I think we're in the same boat as everybody else.
Yeah.
We're all kind of in the same boat, right? But as far as like we rehearse in places that we're kind of beholden to their opening, right? Essentially,
Exactly.
like we can't just go to a field and rehearse. I mean, I wish we could, but we don't have all our equipment there. So you
Yeah.
can't just go to a field all social distanced out and try and have a rehearsal that way. We're all just kind of beholden to the same calendar everybody else is, right?
Well, I actually, a couple of points, and I want to get back to John for a quick thing, but, you know, I direct a couple of other community bands, the Alpharetta City Band and a New Horizons group, which has actually 3 bands. And we're in the same situation with every band. We're beholden to the facility, meaning, like, for instance, the New Horizon bands rehearse in an adult community center up in Roswell, and that city has not opened that community center back up to large groups, so we can't go in there. The city band rehearses in a municipal building, which again is not open to large groups again, so we don't have a rehearsal space there. And of course, the Freedom Band rehearses in a church, which hasn't opened its doors back up to us for large rehearsals. And I'm not sure that in my surveys of membership of all of those bands, there's a large majority of the people just don't feel safe coming back into large rehearsals yet. So I've been doing Zoom rehearsals, if you want to call it that, with all of those groups. And I have a die-hard group of people that attend every rehearsal. And, you know, I would say it's about 25 to 30% of the band comes to these rehearsals every week. And to make it more interesting, I try to bring in new repertoire every week. I told them, I said, well, you know, this is not really a rehearsal, so let's learn new repertoire. Let me introduce you to some music you might not otherwise have played, from our restrictions about, you know, in a normal season we prepare X number of pieces and that's it. But now we sort of have the opportunity to explore a lot of repertoire, which is basically limited by how much time I have to prepare recordings for them to play along with, and how much music I have access to in a digital format. I'm sorry, Lee, I know that breaks every copyright law known to man. but you know, I mean, I'm trying to keep these bands engaged somehow and keep people practicing. And the best way I've found out so far to do that, short of having chamber groups that John Ross mentioned, which we've done some of that too. I have saxophone quartets in one of the bands that are meeting, and I sent them a bunch of saxophone quartet repertoire, and now they're doing jam kazam with each other, playing sax quartet music. So there's ways to keep the band engaged, but not necessarily the way we would prefer, right? So, John, I would like to get back to you about your situation with the schools opening back up in your area, with the college and everything. What's going on there?
Well, we had a weird week because on Monday we had our first positive case at the university of a student athlete tested positive, and that student is quarantined and so on right now. But yesterday, the president announced that we are moving from stage 1 to stage 1.5 as opposed to stage 2 of our opening. And it just simply means that we have 3 levels of instruction. And this is what most people are doing, you know. Stage 1 is everything virtual and online. Type 2 is a hybrid of virtual and in person, you know, mixed classes. And the third is just traditional face-to-face instruction. And so it's up to students whether or not they want to participate in the face-to-face instruction, and our music students just can't wait to get back to seeing each other and playing together. We made the decision as a department that certain classes have to be type 3, which are face-to-face, which would be wind ensemble, pep band, and so on. Our football schedule so far is very limited. We only have 4 home games this year. And I have not been told whether or not we'll have fans and so on. But right now our department is working through the kind of masks that we're going to wear in rehearsals. based on the aerosol study that came out from CBDNA last week. And I hope you've all read that. If you have not, please go to the College Band Directors National Association website and check that out, because there's some important things in there, especially about air quality and the room changing over the air, and how masks should be worn, and which instruments actually are the ones that they are now seeing as more dangerous than others, the spray of the aerosols.
John, is that the Colorado study?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Colorado, Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be widely available, I think, to many of us via a couple different entry points.
Yeah, there's all over. They did a Zoom meeting. CBDNA did a Zoom meeting last week because Mark Speed, the president of CBDNA, was working very closely with both teams so that he could speak a little bit more intelligently about the situation. And the thing that's scaring everybody is that both studies were individually based, not ensemble based. So the biggest thing that we took away from that is everyone wears a mask while playing. Most instruments are going to need bell covers, and every half an hour you got to take a break and let the room clear out. So, but I mean, like I said, it is, and as Gwen said, it's pretty widely available to see what the results of the study were.
Hey, look, Nicole, can we just do like a show of hands of who's planning on not doing anything in the fall, who's planning on not doing anything in the holiday, just so that we can see what people are looking like, I just think that would be what our peers are doing across the country. I just think that may be a good thing to
Well, let's do it. So show of hands, who's not planning to resume rehearsals this year?
Are you talking face-to-face rehearsals?
Yes,
Face-to-face.
face-to-face rehearsals.
Face-to-face rehearsals.
Are you talking about the ensembles that we direct or across the whole organization?
Well, okay, let's start with wind ensemble, concert band. Not planning. No,
we still
not
have our
this year.
November concert on the books, assuming like if God forbid we end up getting it in August, whatever. But that's just because the church is doing it like that. So we're hesitant to cancel just in case, whatever.
Well, right. So what we're doing in Atlanta
it'll
with that group is I put together a program of just light, sort of Boston Pops kind of repertoire that we are doing Zoom rehearsals with, meaning we're reading through and playing with recordings. And the idea in my mind was that should an opportunity open up to us this fall, we would take that repertoire that a certain percentage of the band has already been quote unquote practicing, and maybe in 1, 2, or 3 rehearsals we could put a program together, because we've been looking at the music and people have had access to it and have played it and practiced it. But that's the only thing I've got going. Anybody else got, other than that, what else is going on?
Well, my band is so small. We are practically a chamber group anyway. Like I only have 28, maybe 29 people on a good day, right? We've done the exploration, having small separate groups meet in somebody's backyard. We can do that in New Mexico. It's quite sunny for long periods of time. That would take us, well into Thanksgiving, right? The weather is good enough here. However, the band board has decided that we're not going to officially promote that. We can't do anything if people want to meet and like have a clarinet choir or a saxophone choir. And I'm starting to provide that music, but we're not going to officially promote meeting in someone's backyard. It's pretty clear from our governor in New Mexico that fall season ain't gonna happen, right? Yeah, she's 4'11" and adamant that we all are staying home with our masks on no matter what. So we've gone virtual. We've had several band happy hours, and I have just, as artistic director, I've had to acquiesce the fact that half of our virtual time has to be the band happy hour, and the other half is more along the lines of guided practice. I have them turn their mics off, and I guide the practice, and then everybody turns the mics on and asks specific questions. So really they're practicing at home by themselves. That way we don't have to deal with internet. The entire state here has what I like to call mountain internet. It may or may not work if the wind blows, so you deal with it. Somebody asked a question about, I think Mark asked a question about percussion. Mark, you would be surprised at the great percussive response and stick response you can get from pots and pans. There's a reason kids do that. So now in my case, the percussion lives in my living room. And my wife is the percussion section leader. So we actually have percussion during the guided stuff, to the point that I'm like in the garage because it's so loud, people can't hear me. But, and we also like distributed snares and stuff like that and a bass drum to the other percussion people. But yeah, Mark, I would say pots, pans, anything they can hit in their counter, those hard top counter spaces in your kitchen are great for snare stick response. Yeah, so Charles has got one right there. So you just do what you have to do. If somebody really wanted to practice cymbals, I would drive the cymbals to them. I would be so delighted. So you just have to do it.
Right.
But that's what we're doing. I'd like to hear what some larger bands are doing. I mean, my band is small, and so getting together virtually does kind of work. But you know, I mean, I have an idea of what like Denver's doing, but I'd kind of like if I can pick on Derek for a little bit, if he's not too shy, because I'm on there.
Guys, just to be sure, we're actually towards the end. We're 2 minutes before the end.
Oh shoot! Can I say, yeah? First of all, I want to say hello to Nancy Corcoran. Thank you for being here, Nancy. I didn't get a chance to say hello. And Lynn Schwartz, thank you for being here. If you guys want to pipe in and say hello real quick, please do. David Lee, I hope everything's going well in Texas. Looking forward to seeing you next year.
So, hi, I'm Lynn. I actually just took over as artistic director for Cleveland like 2 weeks ago.
Yay!
So I'm
Hey, welcome.
new to this. Something I can say though is like, because I also like work other types of concerts with Live Nation. So we're looking at our concert season isn't likely to come back till 2022. Obviously concert band's a bit different than like a rock concert, but I'm kind of like anticipating more around like late 2021 tentatively. So
cool.
That's just my input from also doing like other concert stuff.
So glad you're here. So good to see you and meet you.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you all too.
Nancy, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Well, thanks for letting me, kind of lurk in the margins here. I'm so impressed with everybody and your plans and your dedication. And, LGBA is very, very strong because of you folks. I'm so proud to be a part of this organization and, to have worked with both the New York and San Francisco bands and then to see, all the other work that's being done. I'm at a loss for words. I'm verklempt, if you will.
Well, we're so proud of you, Nancy, and you're one of the shoulders of giants that we stand on. So thanks.
You're way too kind, but thank you very much. Thank you.
And Jackie and Mark, I didn't get to say hello or hear from you.
Hi, I'm Jackie Doobie. I've been the associate conductor of the Minnesota Freedom Band for about 25 years. And we're not doing anything this fall. We're just trying to figure out what our plan B's and C's are going to be.
Cool. Well, I know that we're going to try, the LGBA board, we're going to try to do some more sessions, some more get-togethers, some more topics, some more guest speakers as the year progresses. So please be on the lookout for that. And we do have we have an artistic director's Facebook page, and there's always a lot of good posts on there. I always look forward to anything that Lee posts on there for sure. There's always good stuff to be found on there. So if you're not a member of that page, you should join it. Anyway, it's so great to see everyone. And I think Kevin is going to boot us out of here in a minute. Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, and actually, I did post the links to the next things up there. So if you can see there, it's kind of an easy way to get into the other workshops. Also, there's a link to basically the session that's going on now that's ending up. They're doing showing some video, performance videos, and there's a raffle. So you might want to go over there first, and then you can go over to the to whichever the other workshops you want to go to. So thank you all for participating, and we'll be closing out of here very soon. Thanks a lot.
post that? I don't see it. Is it in the chat?
In the chat.
I don't see nothing.
Let's see it.
We have to scroll up a little bit now because I posted up a little earlier. So
Ah.
Making this work, Kevin. Damn it.
My
I was
eyes.
going to get so chatty at the end. I didn't know.
I still don't see.
I still don't see it, Kevin.
I don't see it either.
You don't see it?
Nope.
No, it didn't post.
Oh, I sent it to everyone in the waiting
The
room.
hour, please.
Let me see what's going on in the meeting.
So before we go, I got to tell you, I couldn't be prouder to know each and every one of you. You guys are awesome, and the knowledge and experience that is present right here is just mind-boggling to me. Thank you so much for all being who you are and doing what you do. Thank you so much. And John Ross, thank you for dropping in with us. Please come back all the time.
It was a pleasure seeing all of you again.
It's hot, hot, hot. Sorry. Sorry, I can't.
Thank you for that earworm, Lee.
Wait a minute. Alex, you're from Appalachian too, aren't you? Look at there.
I
Three
graduated.
of us. Three of us. This is awesome. All right. Well,
Can we do this again? Can we get like a virtual happy hour of artistic directors
That's
together?
what we're talking about in the chat.
Let's
Charles
get
is
it
on it.
together.
I'm gonna make it happen, but I'm gonna throw a survey to get dates first and see what everybody can do. So
absolutely.
Perfect.
And when we have it, I'll teach you my trick about drinking alcohol from a teacup.
Oh, love it. Take care, everybody.
All right. See you
Wonderful.
guys.
everybody.
Bye,
Take
everybody.
care.
That was funny.